Alright, so today we are going to solve this reading modules test, that is the importance of children's play. This test is from Cambridge IELTS 14 academic, and this is section 1 of test 1. As you guys know that there are 4 different tests for every module in every Cambridge book for IELTS. Now in this one, the heading is the importance of children's play. As we know the strategies, we do not read the text, rather we jump to the exercise to see what are we going to look for. So the first 8 questions are gap filling questions, and the instructions are actually on the previous page, so 1 word only, so we can only write 1 word for each answer. Now, the first question and the second question, actually they fall under the heading uses of children's play. So it means that we are going to look for something related to uses of children's play. It could somehow mean, advantages of children's play as well. Now, we can see the first bullet point. Building a magical kingdom may help develop dash. So whenever we get a word or a phrase which is enclosed in inverted commas, or whenever it is written in bold letters, or is a proper noun, or is a number, we know that that is considered to be a keyword or a key phrase. So here, magical kingdom is by default the key phrase, and the next meaningful expression that we have got here is building a magical kingdom may help develop. So it helps develop what? Develop something. So grammatically it has to be a noun. So let's have a look in the text. Of course we're going to look in the order, so we can see brick by brick 6-year-old Alice is building a magical kingdom. So of course we found the expression magical kingdom. Now it means that the answer is somewhere in the first paragraph. Now we are going to find out what does this magical kingdom helps develop. So we are going to look for some expression related to the words in the question, and that is may help develop. So let's look for something related to help and develop. So if we skim through the text, rather we scan the text, we can see that the expression help is already there. So this fantasy is helping her take her first steps towards her capacity for creativity. So help, develop. Develop means to improve, to further something, to take something to the next level. So helping her take her first steps towards her capacity for creativity. So the answer lies here. So now we shall try to fit these words into the question statement. Building a magical kingdom may help develop capacity. Does not make sense. Capacity of what? Building a magical kingdom may help develop creativity. So yes, creativity should be the answer for the first question. And of course, whenever we find the answers in our reading module, what we do is we try to shift our answers onto the answer sheet as soon as possible. And as we can see that the next bullet point, actually the next question is also another bullet point, which also comes under the umbrella of uses of children's play. Board games involve dash and turn taking. So there are 2 ideas which we need to consider here. Of course, board games is a key word here, and turn taking is one, but we should also look for the structure of the sentence. We can see that board games involve 2 things. One is turn taking, the other is the answer. So board games and turn taking are our keywords and key phrases, and now we're going to find out what else, what is that, what is the other idea or the activity or the function or whatever the noun it is that board games involve. So turn taking, board games and turn taking. So we'll have to look for the answers from the previous point and onwards. Okay, board games. All right, here we go. So we've got board games. Now we're going to see what are those two things which board games involve. So she's learning about the need to follow rules and take turns with a partner. So there were two things here in the question, turn taking and something else. So turn taking has been paraphrased into take turns. Now, of course, here it is a noun, gerund, ing form, turn taking. And here it is take turns, which is a verb and a noun. And apparently we can only write a noun here, because turn taking is a noun and involve is the verb, so we need a direct object here, so that has to be a noun. So one thing is take turns, the other is rules. Now follow rules is the expression in the text, but as we can see, according to the situation and the grammatical arrangement, we can only write a noun, so we'll have to look for the word rules, because rules is a noun and follow isn't one. So the answer would be rules. So this is how we find out the answers. We not only look for keywords, but also we try to make sure that it is grammatically correct. And next is the next question that we have got is populations of dash have grown. But as we can see that this also comes under the umbrella of recent changes affecting children's play. So there are some changes which have been made recently, which have some impacts on children's play. So there are two main bullet points we can see. Populations of dash have grown. So apparently there is a preposition. And of course, we also know from grammar that whenever we have a preposition, most of the times it is followed by a noun. So population of something have grown. Populations of something. So of course, populations of, commonsensically, it could be a city or a country. It could be a name of a city or a country or a town or a village or a specific. It could be like a specific race, a specific nation as well. So let's see. What are those recent changes and whose populations have grown. So we are of course going to look for something related to populations and something which has grown, something which has increased, of course. So we are going to look for populations and increased. So we are going to look for any word or any phrase which somehow resembles these expressions. Adaptable species, we can't see any. To Greek philosopher, which is okay. So we haven't seen anything related to the populations by now. So we'll keep looking unless and until we find one. So we can see that there is one key phrase that changing times, so recent changes affecting children's play. So this refers to this idea of recent changes. So populations have grown, so Whitebread is mindful of word for decline in play, pointing out that over half of the people in the world now live in cities. So apparently it is a possible answer that populations of dash have grown. So there are places where people have moved to, and of course we can see that Whitebread is mindful of a worldwide decline in play, pointing out that over half of the people in the world now live in cities. So cities are the places where people have moved recently. That means that their populations have increased or went up or gone up or raised. So populations of dash, of course it has to be a noun. So cities is a noun, populations of cities have grown. The other idea to make it sure is that also if sometimes you feel that you cannot find out or specify a particular key phrase or keyword in the answers, you should try to look for the upcoming line. Have an eye on the next line, that will also help you. So as you can see that opportunities for free play are limited due to blah, 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 blah. So look for the expression free play. So if you find the word or expression somehow related to the word free play somewhere, that also helps you identify the premises of your answer, because it has to follow an order majority of the times. So answer was of course somewhere before this expression, and it had to be here because changing times, and over half of the population in the world now live in cities, so commonsensically it has to be cities. And as you know that we do not all the time find exact answers in the reading module, this rule also applies to listening module. We don't look for exact wording, so the closest option is the correct option. And then under the bullet point of opportunities for free play are limited due to blah, blah, blah. So due to, that means there are 3 more reasons. So 3 further bullet points: fear of dash, and increased dash in schools. So we're going to look for 2 different types of fears and increased dash in schools. So also if we consider the grammar, fear of dash, of, as we mentioned earlier, is a preposition. So it had to be followed by a noun. So we've got 2 nouns again. Increased is also an adjective, so another noun here. So all the 3 answers are gonna be nouns. That's the sense of grammar that we have to have. So what are those 2 fears? Almost every day my children are becoming really scared. Ceases outdoor place occurred by perception of risk to do with traffic. So fear of traffic, as well as parents' increased wish to protect their children from being the victims of crime. So to protect their children from being the victims. So there is also a fear of something and of crime, very obvious. So there are 2 answers that we have got simultaneously from within the same sentence. So traffic and crime. So question number 4. Sorry, I think traffic had to be first and crime later. Traffic and crime. Excuse my poor handwriting, because I'm not much of a student who has done a lot of cursive writing exercises in their childhood. And the next thing that we are going to look for, increased dash in schools. What is something that is increased in schools? What is something that has gone up in schools? Of course, it has to be something related to schools. So we can see by the emphasis on earlier speeches leading to greater competition, academic learning and school. Okay, schools, it is here. So what has increased here? Greater competition, leading to greater competition. So in schools, and in academic learning, of course, that is of course in schools. So greater competition, we can only write 1 word, and competition is the noun, greater is an adjective, leading to greater. The word greater gives us the sense of increased, because greater is also an adjective and increased is also an adjective. So of course it has to be competition. All right, and then we get another gap filling question. It is difficult to find dash to support new policies. It is difficult to find dash to support new policies. Grammatically, we know that verb, if it can be answered for this question, we have a direct object. It is difficult to find what to support new policies. So of course we have to have an object. An object is all the time either a noun or a pronoun. So of course we can see there is no apparent mention of any previous noun, so the answer has to be a noun. Now what noun? That's what we are going to see. International policies on children's play. The first thing that we are going to look for is of course international policies, and the next thing that we are going to look for is difficulty and to support new policies. So international policies, new policies, difficult to support. Difficult to find what? There is something that is not very easily accessible. There is something that is not very easily achievable or discoverable. So that is why it is difficult to find. So let's have a look, because we are already done with this paragraph, so we'll have to move forward because it almost always follows a sequence and an order. So international bodies like the United Nations and the European Union have begun to develop policies, so that is international policies concerned with children's right to play and to consider implications for leisure. So develop policies. So it has something to do with policies. So what is something difficult to find, which is not very easily achievable or discoverable, something which might be rare? Children's right to play and to consider implications for leisure facilities, blah, 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 blah. But what they often lack is the evidence to base policies on. So what they lack, what is not very easily achievable, what is very rare, what is difficult to find, what is difficult to discover, is the evidence. So evidence is also a noun, an abstract noun, of course. So it has to be the answer. So answer to question number 7 is evidence. And next, research needs to study the impact of play on the rest of the child's dash. Research needs to study, it hasn't done yet, the impact of play on the rest of the child's dash. Child's dash, possessive noun it is, so of course it has to be another noun. Child's dash could be an adjective as well, because child's confidence, it has to be a noun. Child's something, of course it has to be a noun. It is not a contraction, it is actually an apostrophe which represents the idea of possession. So child's impact of play on the rest of the child's dash. Impact on rest of the child's dash. The researchers have intervened. Okay, we want to know that long-term impact of play is. No, this is not particularly related to a child's rest of the dash, so we'll have to move on. Some of the steps in the puzzle of how evaluation have been looked at. There is very little data. That means it has to be further looked at. It has to be further researched on the impact it has on the child's later life. Child's later life, impact on the rest of the child's dash, rest of the child's dash. Child's later life, rest of the later is equivalent to rest of the and life. So the answer has to be life. So the answer has to be life. So as you saw that the question type, gap filling question type, always follows a sequence. We found the answer to question number 1 here, question number 2 here, question number 3, 4, 5, 6, exact sequence. We found answer to question number 7 here. And in the next paragraph, we didn't find any, but the answer to question number 8 was in this paragraph. So this is how the order is followed in IELTS reading modules test. We shall be looking up at some other tests as well in the upcoming videos. Let's see. Till then, bye-bye.